Boy, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited about this one here on Sportswire Radio tonight to kick the week off here in style because I'm going to be talking about a company that's been referenced here a few different times on this platform with some most recent guests. And now I get a chance to dive into a little bit of the world of legit alternative wrestling. The only way I can be legit in talking about legit alternative wrestling is speaking with one of the premier commentators, one of the premier people around in the world of wrestling. She does a fantastic job doing the pre-show interviews. You see her sometimes on her own Facebook going live, talking all things related to legit alternative wrestling. And she's going to tell us what the 411 is, especially when it comes to Guilty by Association here, April 2nd. She'll talk about that. She'll also talk about some familiar faces here on this platform. Well, I don't know. Godric Sandwell will come up. Pepper Pride will come up. Maybe she'll even talk about Dave Jamieson. Yeah, Dave Jamieson's a big topic right now in the world of wrestling. We will most certainly talk about that. Plus, who knows, whoever else. But, since our guest is here for the first time, and I don't know if you've watched these full things on YouTube, I do things a little different than the average Joe or the average podcaster. I do this long introduction, and apparently not one, but two, three pretty well-known people in the world seem to have liked him. This guy, this man beast, this War Machine Rhino, this guy Savio Vega, some would say was responsible for 316 Day, and this guy Doug Pinnick of a band King's X that played at Woodstock, opened up for AC/DC and Pearl Jam when, they were in their heyday, and just last week opened up for Tool. They seem to like my introductions. I'm going to give you that same introduction because I see my chat here ready. And since we are here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you and legit alternative wrestling most certainly helped build here, Sportswire Radio. And on top of that, I will have something for you here tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, let's start the week off here in style on Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station where all wrestling matters. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show. She's one of the premier wrestling interviewers and commentators around, from one of the most legit companies around, Legit Alternative Wrestling. Her name is simply put Courtney. My friend, how are we doing?
Wow, I cannot even how do you follow that? That was incredible.
I thought you were going to be mortified. I thought you were mortified when watching. I could have went longer because lately I've been doing the wave with it. I've been doing the soccer chants with it with certain names. I could have did it with yours, but I didn't know if you were mortified or we're going to just walk off the stream the way you looked.
No, I'm okay. It was just my cat started flipping out.
Oh, I'm sorry about the cat.
He knocked over my phone. That's what happened.
Because I was like, okay, well, I'm sorry. I mean, unfortunately, it's what I do here. It's
No, that was Corey Taylor. He just knocked it over.
Well, I mean, if you get lucky enough, Corey Taylor, the man that sings for the band Slipknot, might come onto my platform. But
oh God, you're the best.
Well, Vinny Appice of Black Sabbath I've spoke to, so he's supposed to come on, but I'll leave Black Sabbath out for a different day. It is so nice to meet you. We have a lot to talk about here tonight. Legit Alternative Wrestling. It's a company that's come up here on my platform over the past 3 or 4 months. And I know about it, but you're going to tell me the 411. you're going to tell me everything going into April 2nd. I feel like it was yesterday where this guy, Day Jameson, came onto my platform right before the end of 2024. And now he's certainly a big topic here in 2025 in the world of legit alternative wrestling. You'll tell me why in a little while. But for those that are listening and watching here in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the platform that you, Courtney, and legit alternative wrestling most certainly helped build here, Sportswire Radio, let's talk about what we can expect here coming up April 2nd at the next legit alternative wrestling show.
Well, thank you for all of that. The first thing I would like to talk about on April 2nd, we are going to be crowning our first ever tag team champions. We're going to have a massive tournament. If you see on our social media,
I'm going to put it up in a minute. I have the poster right in front of me. So
okay. We want to hear from the fans who they want to see on the show. But that's what we're really excited about, the crowning of our first ever tag team champions.
That's going to be exciting. That's going to be very exciting to see new tag team champions. And that's going to, I'm sure, put a lot of interest out there from some of the different teams.
Yeah, what we're doing a little differently is we're going to have established teams. We're going to have teams that only exist within LAW. And then we're going to have makeshift teams where it's like the opposite subtract kind of thing. So who knows what could happen.
That's interesting. That almost, there are some teams that are going to have advantages and other teams that I guess we'll have to find out the day of. And there'll be other teams that I guess will know each other or maybe know of each other, but they won't really know what they'll be able to do as a team. So that's a really interesting dynamic. I cover a lot of wrestling from all over the world, and this is kind of a first that I've heard of, at least in a tag team tournament, where you're getting known teams just in law, and then maybe teams that are just being makeshift the day of. I mean, what's your opinion on some of that?
I love it. It's definitely in the spirit of LAW where you never know what could happen. But seeing these contrasts of styles is what it's really about. 2 shows ago, we had La El Shaddai teaming with Mickey Knuckles.
Mickey Knuckles is somebody I've talked about with Jesse Daniels, who wrestled Mickey Knuckles, who came on my platform. So, yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. And La El Shaddai came up with Mr. Sandwell, who's another person you know very well.
Oh, I bet he did. That whole situation's insane.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I see that there was also a fan vote here that's taking place on the Law Facebook page, which you can definitely check out on the Legit Alternative Wrestling page. And you have a bunch of different teams. In fact, there's 31 people right now that are in this vote. So let's talk about the team fan vote here for a few minutes.
Yeah, so those are all of the people that are not currently in a scheduled match or an official tag team.
Now, you do know that you're actually up for a vote.
I know. I'm very excited for my opportunity. I've been waiting. No, that's absolutely ridiculous.
You sure? I mean, listen, we see it sometimes here and there. I mean, Michael Cole years ago, and I mean, once upon a time, Corey Graves was a wrestler. I mean, I won't even bring up the likes of Mark Madden. You're from Pittsburgh, who did unfortunately wrestle in a WCW ring, all those years ago. So, I mean, there's stories, Mean Gene. I mean, so this could be your moment, or maybe not. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, I wish, but calling somebody from Pittsburgh Mark Madden is not a compliment.
I know that. That's why I put it that way, because I know that Mark Madden is definitely a name that we'd like to forget in the world of commentary and such, especially in wrestling. Yeah. Pittsburgh sports fans would pretty much say the same thing on that. But 31 people here in this vote. I mean, who wins?
Well, the winners are going to be most likely put together. I believe that is the plan. But we're really excited to see who the fans care about.
Now, I am going to vote. And since we are live, I did actually put in my 2 cents, and I did vote for 2 names that I thought would be extremely interesting, and I voted for Mickey Knuckles and Soul Taker.
Very, very good choices. You can't go wrong with that.
Came up with Godric, and Soul Taker is a name that's actually, I think Godric brought him up at least on 2 different occasions because Godric saw him in the ring. I think
Mhm.
was it maybe last month somewhere? So and Mickey Knuckles is Mickey Knuckles could take on probably like half the people that come on my platform. So I figured why not?
Exactly. I know the Soul Taker has been a part of our last 2 shows. He made his debut, and then Daniel Tafua was crazy enough to challenge him for this past
Yeah, I
show.
know Daniel Tafua. Why did Daniel Tafua do that? I know him from another company that you're very familiar with.
He is very tough, but he's also kind of, I don't want to say getting overlooked, but he's not at the level that he would like to be. So
Mm,
his thoughts were, I'm big, I can take on anybody. Let me take out the Soul Taker and make a name. So you can't
yeah.
blame him.
No, I get that. That reminds me of my guest a few days ago. We had this guy Joe Starr come on my platform from Massachusetts, and he decided he was challenging the names of like Doc Holliday, Mikey Anarchy. I don't know if you're familiar with those names, and they've been in GTS. If you know anything about GTS and some of the other places like the UWF and Jimmy Controversy, let's just say that lane of wrestlers, and he's not a hardcore deathmatch wrestler, and it was almost like he had a death wish. I think Daniel might be a little smarter than that, but it could be a way to get your name out there, I suppose.
I don't know about smart, but I think it was very effective. It made a statement for sure.
So, who's your inclination based on what's going to happen? I know we still have some time here till the fan vote closes and such, but do you have any inclination other than yourself that who might get picked together and such?
I would say Mickey. I would say Robert Ketchum. He's doing a lot. You know, he's a very tough guy. He's a tag team guy. So he should do pretty well in the poll. Um, I would love to
Okay.
see.
Who would you like to see? Yeah, who would you like to see? Was one
I
of
would
my.
like to see Hank Hudson.
That's a good
That
name. I
would be
heard of
nice.
Hank. Yeah, I heard of Hank
He is
Hansen.
an absolute legend. 50 some years in the business. He's an encyclopedia of wrestling.
Wow.
Absolute legend.
And I thought you might be the encyclopedia of wrestling, but that reminds me, who was the wrestler a couple years ago that was in Impact, had a match with Trey Miguel, I think, and then is still doing stuff in the Indies. Maybe it's Mike Sanders or one of these names. Mike Jackson. I think it's Mike Jackson, and he's like 70 plus years old, and he's still going in the independent circuit. So that's kind of almost a similar type thing. But let me ask you though this question. And I'll come back to some of the stuff here. And by the way, if you're here on Instagram, I'm going to put the Law Instagram link up here so people can go follow. It literally just is been only been a few months old that the Instagram page has been made. But who are some of the wrestlers that for this audience, or maybe those that are watching us for the first time, even though I've talked about Law, but I've only talked about it within certain wrestlers that have been here. Who are some of the wrestlers in this company that you cover every show that some people here should keep an eye on?
Well, the first name that comes to mind is Michael McMoney II. He
Okay.
is the future of not only LAW but of professional wrestling. That kid is a savant. He is a prodigy. He is every like hyperbole that you could say.
Hmm.
Um, he's just the best. We talked about Godric Sandwell. I mean, how do you
I
not
know
say
Godric.
that?
He's here every month. Yeah, he's here, and he's here. I think right before April 2nd. I have him on April Fool's Day.
He'll have fun with that.
Yeah. Greetings and salutations here, angels and demons. I'm sure he'll let us know that.
The funny thing is, that's how he is.
Yeah, I've
Um,
had him on now. I think like he's probably here in the chat. I've had him on like 7 times by now, like 6 or 7 times. So
yeah.
I know his deal.
I've been bowling with Godric, and he bowls exactly the way you think he would. He put his arms, like one arm behind his back, and he does that thing when he gets a
Oh
strike.
wow.
That's just who Godric is. I love it. I love him so much. Um, but who else?
Yeah,
Dave Jameson, obviously.
yeah, we're gonna talk about Day. Day's a name that I know well here. He had a famous segment with a guy Thomas Taft, who he wrestled, and
Uh,
some Mr.
yeah,
T
Taft, he's
Fury, another
great.
buddy of mine. Yes, Mr. T Fury.
Yeah, I love him. Um, got to talk about Wyatt Black. He's
Yeah.
very young but up and coming. He's annoying, so he's going to vex you guys if you ever see him, and I apologize for that.
No, no, no. Don't apologize. You're live. You're in prime time. Don't apologize here.
I wish that I had that attitude about him. That kid sucks.
What?
He's
Tell the audience, why does he suck? I want to hear it from you because you are at these shows every month. You cover these wrestlers. Tell me why Mr. Black sucks.
because all he does is talk and run his mouth. See, the truth is, this kid is a kid. He's 17 years old.
Okay.
And he got put into a ring, and he was very, very good early. Like, you could just tell that kid gets, like, what he's supposed to do. So he
Mm-hmm.
just got handed everything, right? And everybody was just like, "Oh my God, it's Wyatt Black. He's so talented." And then he talks and ruins it. He just says the most vile stuff. And then in walks my kid, Michael McMoney II, who's younger than him,
Wow.
better than him. That's Michael McMoney's kid,
Yep.
obviously.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
I
the
knew
guy,
that I
the guy
knew.
walks through the door better than Wyatt Black, and the kid couldn't handle it.
Mm.
So it's just so funny to see him like so paranoid to lose his spot at 16, 17 years old. Like it's insane.
Wow. I mean, that's and to be able to be in the ring and obviously you got to have some moxie, but maybe that moxie might be a downfall of him with what you're telling us, right? Maybe that.
The moxie and the attitude. Like this kid had the nerve to come onto my pre-show and question who Michael McMoney Jr.'s dad is. Like it's Michael McMoney II. Who do you think his father is?
Maybe he's
Like
being facetious to try to get under your skin and unrattle you, or rattle you, I should say.
it was hard watching that, but I was so
Yeah.
proud of the money. He just reached back, smacked the crap out of that kid, and I was like, yeah, get that from me. That's what he deserves. Anybody that's ever heard that kid talk was excited to see him just get smacked right in the mouth.
Wow, that's interesting that happened there. That's really intriguing, and those are some reasons why I do want to put the Instagram page up because I see some people here in my chat, and I want to put the YouTube up in a minute. But let me do the Instagram first because Instagram's a big thing here on my platform. I have almost 2,000 followers. Well, I can't give you all 2,000 followers on my page. I can, at the very least, put up the link here. So people might want to follow legit alternative wrestling and be legit in knowing what's going to happen here. We've got a show coming up here, Guilty by Association. It's going to be featuring the Law Tag Team Tournament. The doors open at 6 o'clock Eastern Time. That's going to be in Parkersburg, West Virginia, the Richardson Building. And it's going to also be where the Law, it's not for everybody. And it is in beautiful downtown Parkersburg, West Virginia. And I'm very excited about it. You should be too. And it's going to take place at, looks like 325.
Really excited.
You should be, and you're going to be a huge part of it. And also, Dave Jameson's a name. We'll most certainly talk about him in a little while. We'll get to him. He's a man that I'm sure I'll be seeing here soon. But this is the Law page for Instagram. So definitely stay in touch. And we're here with Miss Courtney Wood, who does a fantastic job in covering legit alternative wrestling. I don't like to do this, but I should do it because it's someone like you for the first time here. And I usually don't do what most podcasters do because my platform is a very different dynamic. It's a different world. But how did you get into wrestling? I will ask you because this is the first time we're formally meeting. But how did you get into Law and just doing wrestling, commentating and interviews and such?
Well, that's primarily what I do is the writing. So, like, if you see, I do match results, interviews.
Yeah.
I like to do like superstar highlights to let people know who these guys are. I just decided to do it. I was a longtime wrestling fan. I was good friends with Pav Novak,
Yes.
and
The
two
man
of
that
us.
connected me to you. Yes.
Yeah, that's my son. That's my best friend. We just watched wrestling as much of it as possible. Every single channel, whatever, and we would be at a live show every
Cool.
week. Like it was something serious. And then of course, we had the thought that every single friends have ever had. We are so funny, people need to hear us. So we decided after a show in Cleveland, we're from Pittsburgh, so we're all worked up, ready to talk some shit. And
Sure.
we come home, we went back, and we set up a camera and we just ran through the card. We went through every match, and people liked it for whatever reason.
Why wouldn't they? You got some pizzazz, you got some attitude, you got some moxie. Why wouldn't they not like it, you know?
Because we're just fans, but we're the loudest fans. That's why we call ourselves the BME, the best marks ever.
Oh, okay.
We're the loud ones. If you're ever at an indie show and you hear some asshole go, "He has till 5," that's me.
Wow.
So when we try and move on to other things, it pisses people off. But we just decided to do that. We went through the entire indie roster. We divided it up. We started doing interviews. That caught on. I started doing wrap up shows. That caught on. And then just other places we got into. And then he abandoned me, of course, and became a wrestler. But I kept
He
the
went to the
BME
dark
name
side, as
going.
some would say. He went to the other side.
The other side of the curtain, he's too good to sit in the front row now. No, I'm so proud of him. I wouldn't be anywhere without him. So to see him live his dream is just incredible. And I get to be some part of that and write about it and talk about it and meet people like you where I get to talk about wrestling, which is my favorite thing ever.
Well, you're always welcome, and we always want to give people opportunities. I'm a firm believer in that, and I always like to hear from different people and such, and that's very fascinating. But Kings and Queens magazine is something that I've talked about over the past year or so. A lot of names I know that are in Kings and Queens magazine, and a lot of law names are mentioned at the top of the list. I see La
Mhm.
El Shaddai is in there, Robert Ketchum, who you mentioned, certainly JC Grunge and Gigi Jacobs and Mr. Tafua.
GG.
Yep.
GG.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, a bunch of names here. La El Shaddai, the champions at number 3. Very impressive. Robert Ketchum's tied for number 4. I mean, so a lot of heavy representation here for law for a company that's, got a lot of momentum here.
Yeah, we're so excited to have all of our guys' names out there. Kings and Queens magazine, they're really great partners with
Absolutely.
us. Yeah, they do a very good job of getting these guys' name out there, and to be even referenced on there is really cool.
It's a very cool thing. It's kind of for in this area in the independent scene. It's kind of like the PWI 500 in a sense, but it's a
It's
weekly,
a big deal.
very big deal. Yeah, it's been talked about here. I think I mentioned it. I think Day came up with Day. It might have came up with Andrew Lovelace, a couple of different people that it's definitely been.
Loveless, yeah.
Yep, Lovelace is in there, and talk to me about Lyle Shaddai because it's a name that's come up here on my platform. Godric said his things about him. He's a guy that I know from different wrestlers that have come on that are not in law, and let's talk about our champion here for a few minutes and what makes him tick and what makes him the man that's on top of legit alternative wrestling.
Um, do I have to? I feel like the lights are gonna flicker and he's just gonna appear.
Well, you know what? Don't you? If anything happens to you, I'll make sure that we'll keep the stream going.
If anything happens, it was Tommy Horror's fault. Uh, no, he is an entity that's just insane.
Yep.
He bites people. He's fed raw meat by Tommy Horror, and he's just taken over. He has won every match because he just chokes people out, and the ref has no choice but to, for their safety, call off the match while Tommy's all excited, drinking blood. It's horrible. But there's nothing we can do, between Tommy's political power and then having the championship. What are we going to do about it?
Well, that's what makes him the champion, though. I mean, obviously, what's that like? Then watching him up close. I mean, I hope that you haven't ate or anything like that when you watch it.
Terrifying. It is terrifying. If you watch any videos of him making his entrance, he always has
I've
to
seen him a
stare
few
at
times
you.
in different places. He's come up here for sure.
Yeah, and I play the music, so I'm right there, and I ring the bell. Which fortunately I have a wrench, so I'm sitting there like this, like that's gonna do anything, like that guy just decides to snap and eat me. Like that's just what's gonna happen. And Tommy likes it for whatever reason. I
Well,
don't know what snapped in that guy's mind, but
that's
it's
crazy.
terrible. And then he gets blood everywhere, and ugh,
Blood and guts, a lot of blood and guts. You know.
it's terrible.
Don't faint here on the show. I still want to talk to you here.
I mean, it's horrible. Unfortunately, I had to talk to Tommy about a little bit of their backstory and about how Tommy traveled the world to find an evil entity that he could like manipulate to get power, and it worked. He's the champion.
Wow. Okay. Well,
It
that's. I
worked.
mean, I'm gonna certainly remember that. And boy, you got La El Shaddai, Soul Taker, and Mickey Knuckles in one locker room. Boy, I could only
It
imagine. That's
is quite the locker room.
yeah. Then you want to talk about personalities there. I mean, the boy. I almost want to be a fly on the wall. Maybe not because they probably stomp on me and kill me if I was that fly on the wall, or eat me. Maybe.
It is so cool to see the LAW locker room, with the exception of El Shaddai, because Tommy Horde keeps him in a cage in the corner, and just to keep him like extra angry, Tommy will come in and like poke him with a stick, and then open the cage with like raw meat. Like it's the most surreal thing. And you're watching this in one corner, and then you see like Mickey Knuckles walking
Yeah,
around
I know
with no.
Mickey Knuckles.
So
I know Mickey Knuckles from POR, and I've watched her match here live on this platform, which I was almost wondering. I hope I don't get censored or kicked off YouTube for it. But Mickey Knuckles is. I mean, I said it. Jesse Daniels wrestled Mickey Knuckles in POR. This had to have been maybe in, I don't know, sometime in the summer. And Mickey Knuckles, I think, is one of the toughest wrestlers, period, let alone
exactly.
female or male. What's it like watching Mickey Knuckles here in this company?
It is so cool that my life is I get to talk about Mickey Knuckles. Like 14, 15-year-old me would not believe something like that. She is such a badass. She is so fun to watch. You never know what she's gonna do, and then she always just messes people up. It is amazing to see.
And
I'm just glad I
she
don't have
was
to
in tag
be
team
against
action,
her.
right? She was in tag team match action the last show, right? If I'm not mistaken, was it at Uncensored, right?
Yeah, she faced no, who is she? Oh my god, I should know this.
Robert Ketchum, right? Was Robert Ketchup in the match? If I'm not mistaken, right? Was Robert
It
Ketchum
was her, it was Mickey Knuckles and Layla James
against
taking on
Robert Ketchum, and it was
Brutal Ben
Ali.
Metal.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Brutal
right.
Ben Metal. When you were talking about that, I was thinking of the show before that where she teamed up with La El Shaddai.
Yep.
But no, at Uncensored, that match was insane. I got to see one of my favorites, Brutal Ben Metal. He is the best. Uh, didn't go well for him. He ended up getting his ass kicked by everybody in the match,
Oh.
including his own tag partner. So I guess fuck that guy. But it was bad. But Mickey and Layla, they're the best.
Yeah, Mickey. Like I said, Mickey. I've seen Mickey. Go through barbed wire. I've seen Mickey go through it, and people that come on my platform, I think almost 80% of them couldn't do what Mickey does, and that's why Mickey's just. To me, just I got all the respect in the world for what Mickey does, because I watched her match with Jesse Daniels, who's in his own right, a guy that has been up there with the likes of Tarzan Duran and Jimmy Controversy and, Carnage Cup and IWA and all that stuff. So when he talks about it and Mickey Knuckles in that way, you definitely gain a bit of respect and such. But, another name that comes up that Godric wrestled actually a few months back, and what a small world wrestling is. And I actually know her through some other places and other sources, like a guy I know, James Fury, and some other places. Pepper Pride. Pepper Pride is a wrestler that has come through your company and is a part of it. And talk to me about Pepper Pride, because Pepper Pride is a name that I know very well here these past few months. What a small world wrestling is. It's almost like, yeah,
It,
you know
it,
that person, I know them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Pepper is the best. She is so tough. I just saw her take on Brohemoth, and
Yep.
she took on his open challenge, so obviously she wanted this match. She just walked right up and just started punching. And to see that fearless attitude come out was just insane. It was so cool to watch. And you see her, and I got to write a little bit of a biography on her. I didn't know that she had only been in for like under a year. You would
Yeah.
never know. And what's cool is we had the time me and McMoney talked to her about her chair throwing, and she got told by Sabu that she throws it better than him.
Well,
And
she's a
that's like
part
to
of IW. She's a part of IWR, Insane Wrestling Revolution, which
Mhm.
is from the company that I interviewed, the man himself, Mr. Rhino. So that's also another connection that I have with Pepper Pride, because a lot of the talent that are in his company have come on my platform. Sam Aljami, James Fury, some other names that have come up that way. And Pepper, when Godric mentioned Pepper, I was like, wait a minute, I know that person. And then you know her too, and you see her here in legit. Yeah, she's a badass. She's definitely
Oh,
another
yeah.
tough woman, and she's moving up the ladder very quickly. Only been in it for a short time, but she's going places, no question.
Yeah, we saw her face Godric. That was
I watched.
uncomfortable because you could tell Godric didn't want to do it.
We
You
watched
could
it
tell
on
he
here on Sportswire with Godric a couple of months ago, and Godric, yeah, he didn't really want to talk about the match. I think we watched it through your YouTube page, if I'm not mistaken, which I'm going to plug here in a few minutes.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, then she entered the title tournament, the world title tournament, and she had to face Lael Shaddai. And she just repeatedly threw chairs at him, trying to do everything that she possibly could. There was only so much. Hey, that's my personal YouTube.
Yeah, I've used it before because you've taped a lot of these matches that Godric's been involved in, the Street Stompers, who I know very well, Day
Uh-huh.
Jameson. So you've been in different places other than Law. I know you've been in PXW and just now Wrestling Express Wrestling. So I mean you've been around the block. So your YouTube channel has come up here. So I figured let me give you a shout. Let me give you a follow. And I gave you 3 subs before, which I should have gave them to you before when Godric was here. But there's some people here in the chat that'll watch it later. Do me a favor, give her a sub. She's doing a fantastic job. She's doing a lot more in the world of wrestling than I could ever do, and most of us. And let's get her to 100 subs. She's not too far away from that. So do me a favor. I see a bunch of people, and hit us up for Courtney. She's got a lot of wrestling content on there. Yeah, you definitely got a lot of footage there. As a matter of fact, you got 179 videos and a lot of matches that I've watched on here before. So yeah, there's your page.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, we do
Thank
things a
you.
little differently on here. Yeah, most people they just ask you the same questions. Me, I do things a little different. But you can watch some of the content. You mentioned Michael McMoney. You mentioned Godric Sandwell. Godric, yeah, we've definitely used it here. Lestat, it's another name that's come up here quite a bit. He's the champion over in Godric's other promotion. And
The Banana Man.
yep, there you go. Day Jameson. I'm going to get to Day Jameson. I have plenty to say on him. I will certainly talk about that. But there's some content. Go check it out. And, we really appreciate you being on here with us. Let me get to some people here in the chat. And a lot of people want to talk to you. I do little things differently here. I do a very interactive type of thing. So let's do that here. My buddy who was here, who knows actually Jesse Daniels, who wrestled Mickey Knuckles, who's on my platform next Thursday, the controversial one, Cato. He is from the Midwest. He just wanted to say hello, and he'll be back next week. So he wanted to say great show. Thank you for that. Don't mind this guy. He looks like Ned Flanders. He used to look like David Spade. But he said there was a girl on Sportswire, so he's on his best behavior. But yeah, he's never on his best behavior. He's the hall monitor of Sportswire Radio. But in this case, we'll give him a pass. But you're doing fine, and I don't think he'll do anything other than just say hello. That's his way of saying hello. Justin Parsley. He's the PWF champion. He's the King of Palo winner. Zilla is here. Zilla is our resident chatter. She would like to say hello. Yep, very nice to meet you. Hello to Justin Parsley. And you have somebody here that knows you. Hi, guys. You know who this person is, I would imagine. Yes.
Ashley. Hi, Ash.
How you doing? There you go.
That's
One of my
actually
buddies.
everything.
What's that?
That's Ashley everything.
Well, you're everything by tuning in right now. So thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the conversation. My buddy, also from West Virginia, he's not a part of Legit Alternative Wrestling, but his name is Nathaniel Rage. He's the devil himself. He's a promo wrestler, though. He's the TPW and the People's Champion. He'd like to say hello. My buddy, Remy Roberts, who is from the great state of Louisiana. He's the Cajun Cruiser. I call him the Cajun Bruiser, but he'd like to say what's up. Speaking of Pennsylvania, my buddy Aaron Blaze, the headline, who was in your chair last week, and boy, you want to talk about crossfires? He was definitely creating a lot of crossfire, but he's a headline. That's what he likes to do. He's a trailblazer. Somebody would like to give you a 100. So there you go. You got 100. Yep, you passed with flying colors. Remy liked the intro. Hello there. Yep, thank you, Zilla, for that. You're finding out now about this company because we're talking about it here. So I hope you continue to tune in, which I know you will. Yeah, Mark Madden, he sucked doing, was he WDHA? Was it WDHA in Pittsburgh, right? Was it W or KTA or one of those, right? He used to be a part of an ESPN, it was ESPN or something like that. He was just an idiot. Even his sports takes were bad. And I'm from New York. What do I know? Salutations to all tonight, and La El Shaddai will pay for his sins against Pepper Pry, which we just spoke about there. That is from Mr. Sandwell himself.
You see what a gentleman he is? La El Shaddai and Tommy Horror have been beating the shit out of Godric for months, and yet
I
he's
asked
still
him, like, why are you so nice?
Right.
I did ask him that on a recent episode. I asked him, what gives, and it's just who he is,
Yeah, seeing what Shaddai did to Pepper really messed with Godric, but he's a gentleman, so but it's just interesting that he's more concerned with that, other than the fact that he's gotten beaten up the past couple of shows by Shaddai or somebody
Yeah, we
related
spoke
to
about
sports.
that. Everywhere he's been recently, he's been getting beat, and I was like, you got to come on and give me something to promote and talk about. So
It's a shame.
well,
It is such a
we'll
shame.
we'll find out. And hi, Godric. Yep, how you doing there? If you want to follow Legit Alternative Wrestling on Instagram, that's where you should follow him. I'd appreciate that very much. La El Shaddai is the more arterish of Cambion I've come across, yet I will stand against him with honor. That's a interesting way to put things, I suppose, right?
I mean, that says everything that you need to know about Godric and the situation. So
Yeah, I know Godric. I'll have him here in 2 weeks. So, someone would like to say calling you a hoodlum, and they love you. That's Katie.
Bennigan's, hi Bennigan's.
How you doing? And she says you look beautiful. So there you go. Well, you do look nice.
That's my thank you.
You're in prime time. I expected nothing less. People are excited on Sportswire that a woman's here. You are here. So, everybody don't get, let's focus on wrestling. But yes, you do look very nice today. No question about it.
Thank you.
You definitely do. But let's follow you on YouTube, and that would be even better. Who else we got here? Yeah, you're definitely doing a great job here. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. Your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. If you're here on Sportswire Radio, do me a favor, like, follow, and subscribe. Also, I'm here tomorrow night. I'm here at 9 o'clock Eastern time with Jake Dvorak, who is going to have a no-rope barbed wired match this weekend. Speaking of people he's having a no-rope barbed wired match, and he's doing that against a guy, Gabe Sayers, who wrestled Grimm in GTS. So if you're a fan of GTS, you probably know the name Gabe Sayers. And then I think it was Grimm's wife felt sorry for him, but we're not going to talk about GTS here because I have my own opinions on GTS, but I do have a lot of opinions here to talk about with Miss Courtney, because she's got plenty to say here in the world of legit alternative wrestling right now. But so let's talk about Dave Jamieson. This is a man that I have seen being the talk of Facebook here. You were there. What on earth happened to Dave Jamieson?
That asshole Tim Titan happened to Jade Jameson. I'm wearing my bandana in support of him.
I did see that.
That was one of the worst situations I've ever seen. Those two have known each other for a while, and for years actually. And Day did something to piss Tim off, and then Tim sent Brohemoth to attack Day on his birthday. And it was
happy birthday, I guess, right?
Right. So what had happened was Bro came in and got him like right in the shoulder, and it rocked Day so hard he hit into the second rope and his neck snapped back.
Oh, ooh, that's gotta hurt.
And the guy that passed away in the match with Rey Mysterio, that's exactly what happened to him.
Oh, yes, before he came back to WWE several years ago. Yes. Okay, I know that very well.
Yeah, because you know how Ray gets you into the second rope to do the 619.
Yep.
That's practically the position Day was in. We got him to the back, and you could see as soon as we got his hair up that there was a bruise that like the width of the ropes.
Oh my God.
We were doing concussion protocol, and it was just a horrific scene. You'd never want to see somebody get hurt, but like he could have died.
You know, you've been doing this a while. Have you seen an injury like this in your career and just the brutality and how grotesque it was? Have you seen something like this before in your career, Courtney?
The only thing that came close is what happened to Sean Phoenix
Okay. I know Sean
at
Phoenix.
IWC. Yeah, he did a 450 out from the top rope out and missed the table and landed on the solid ground.
Oof, oof, oof. That almost reminds me of the when I played football as a kid. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I went to catch the ball. Instead, I hit like the metal of the garbage rail. It was like a
Yeah.
garbage bin, yeah, but not quite to that level. But yeah, that was painful, but not as painful as that. Yeah, that's pretty painful.
Yeah. He lost the hearing in his ear.
Oh
Like
my God.
Phoenix is tough, man.
Wow. But Day says he's gonna be there still. Day says that he's
Of
gonna.
course he is.
So why? I mean, would you advise him to be there or what?
Absolutely not. He's gonna be there because he's young, stupid, and pissed off. Like, not
But
only
should
did
he
he
be
have
there then? I mean, think about it, right? He's a young. I know Day. He's been here before. I had him in a segment with Thomas Taft, Mr. T3, as I said earlier in the show. He's a guy that's been in different places. He's definitely moving the ladder. But is this the smart move for him? Is this the right move?
no, it's not at all. Um, so in real life, I've known Day since he was a child. He was always in the crowd and everything, and I'm so proud to see him in the ring. So I
Mhm.
don't want to see him put himself into this type of situation. But when you have somebody that not only is too much of a coward to fight you,
Mhm.
attacks you, and then Tim has put up videos, like he set it to
Yeah.
music because he thinks it's amusing.
I saw that on Facebook. I did see that on Facebook.
Yeah, there's nothing that we could tell Day that would talk him out of it. Even if we even like told him not to show up and whatever, he would probably just sneak in some way. Um, he's pissed off, and you can't blame him.
But how do you, as a, you just said something interesting, as we hear with Courtney Wood, of course, who does a great job here covering legit alternative wrestling. She also has done a lot of different things, and when it comes to interviews, write ups, a number of different things, she's definitely done it all. And Jim Ross has nothing on her, and Dave Meltzer has nothing on her. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally. All wrestling matters, but you said something interesting, and I want to go back to it. You've known Day Jamison since he was a child. Day Jamison has had family in this sport. This is something that Day Jamison has wanted to do since he was like this. But how do you separate personal from professional when you know Day Jamison the way you do?
You can't. You want to as much as possible, but you can't. You know, like I love seeing him go out there and compete and live his dream and be as amazing as he is, but then he does dumb shit like get hurt and then want to get back in the ring. Right after this happened, we're checking to see if he has a concussion, and this fool is saying, "Well, if you guys needed me to wrestle again, I would." Like, no, stop it. Um,
Maybe he needs to sign a waiver in that case because you don't want to be liable. I mean, that's some serious stuff that he went through there.
yeah, like I said, that's how I apologize, I don't know his name, but that's how that guy died. Like his
Yep.
neck snapped.
It's
So like
painful.
his spine. Excuse me. So,
It's fine, yeah.
yeah, I know Day enough to know that there's no words that are going to talk him out of it.
He could be putting his career at jeopardy. It's one of the bigger things I see talked about on Facebook. Every time I open up Facebook on my phone, it's always something here with Dave Jameson. And I, it's funny that you mentioned him and such. And before the injury, Dave messaged me. This is, shoot here. And we were talking about, catching up. I said, oh, how's it going? Sometimes I message him and I read some of the things he posted. And I was like, hey, well, hope you're doing well. Anything I could do. And we were supposed to get him back on Sportswire. I don't know now with the severity of the injury, but he's definitely playing, to quote Iron Maiden, he's playing with madness here. Can he play with madness? I don't know, but certainly we'll see if it's 2 minutes to midnight and the clock strikes on his career. I hope not. I mean, let's just say maybe he has some fear of the dark. Maybe not.
Oh man, you can't talk to me about something so serious and then like make me smile with Iron Maiden talk.
Well,
Like
up the
that's
irons. Yeah,
just
well,
wrong to do.
Well, I did mention, Vinny Appice is somebody I kind of know at the moment. I mean, we have another guy who's in a band here Friday at the end of the week. So, yeah, we did have Doug Pinnick of King's X, but I don't want to turn this into, headbangers ball because Dave Jameson's head might be the example of that. But, we could. I mean, I'm sure we could dabble into that. But, I mean, so they should he's going to show up, but he really shouldn't here.
Yeah. Um he's gonna fight Tim, he's gonna fight Bro, and he's gonna fight anybody that stops him. I've reached out to him every day. I'm really worried that like he wouldn't
I
tell
could
us.
see it, Courtney. I could see it right now, and just how you're talking about this. Your demeanor has changed a little bit here these last 5 or 6 minutes, and I see just you weren't the same person before. I mean, and I could see it's getting to you. It's emotional to see what this young man. I've seen him in places like Pro Wrestling Cheap Shots. I've seen him obviously what's now Express Wrestling. I mean, I know he's moved up the ladder in a short amount of time. He wants to do this, but I mean, I guess time will tell if this could catch up to him.
It's definitely that's the thing that he has going against him the most is himself.
Yeah.
You try and talk reason to him, you just can't. He wants to do everything. Like this is his dream. You're gonna see him on the big stage sooner than later, but it's that reckless attitude that's not good for him at all. Saying, "Oh yeah, I'd get right back in there," and the thing is, he really would. If we asked him to wrestle like 20 matches on one show, he absolutely would.
Well, a
Uh,
lot of wrestlers, though, look at it that way. The reason they do is that they look at it like, well, this is my opportunity. I don't know who's watching. This is my dream. I mean, I get them all on here all the time. I know how it goes. I mean, I know, it's part to the course, but this young man is definitely, he's you're gonna feel the fire here. I mean, let's just say he's jumping into the fire to quote the first Metallica album, "Kill 'Em All." But he may not be the one that's killing them all, but hopefully to be or not to be killed. But I do see some new people here in the chat. Torrance Banks is here, of course, from Home Wrestling and NEW. And if you're here, hit the sub button for Courtney. She's got a lot of match content, a lot of different stuff. She's one of the premier wrestling reviewers, commentators. She does pre-show footage for our friends over at Legit Alternative Wrestling. They are definitely more than legit. They are one of the premier wrestling companies around. So do me a favor, go hit a sub for her. I'm going to put Law's YouTube page up here in a minute, so you do the same. I'd appreciate that. And I have to talk about the man. I'll come back today later, but I have to talk about Mr. Pav Novak, the man. That's the reason why, young lady, I'm speaking to you and speaking more formally about Legit Alternative Wrestling. And boy, he's going to have a lot to do and a lot to say, I'm sure. But tell me about what he's going to be doing on April 2nd for our audience.
Pav is my best friend. He's my son. I probably 15 years. I don't even know at this point. Um, I don't know what he's gonna do. He's having a lot of conflicting feelings with how everything's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Behind the scenes, there's a lot of stuff between him and Michael McMoney. They're
Yep.
having this feud about, like, this disagreement about how wrestling should be done. And unfortunately, the show is bookmarked with two of Michael and mine's kids getting hurt between Michael McMoney the
Boy,
second.
I know you are a professional, but you gotta don't walk that. You're gonna have to walk that line to quote Johnny Cash because you got all these personal feelings for these people, but yet you got to be professional. You got to call it down the line, Courtney.
I know it's very hard, especially for somebody like me. Um, to see stuff like that, it really does mess with you. Fortunately, Pav is a wrestler, so he can take care of it. Me, I'm just gonna hit you with whatever I can. Yeah, so
But
oh, there we are.
Yeah, well, I got the YouTube link up here. I wanted to put that up because I see some people here that'll watch it, and I wanted to give an opportunity to plug legit alternative wrestling because I know it's going to definitely be a topic here over the next several months, and you're going to be here anytime you want. You take over for me on Sportswire. I think people would want to see you more than me. They want to look at the mutton chops anyway. They want to look at you and your beautiful face. But if you are here, do me a favor. You can catch some of the content. You got the most recent episode here that you see, the weekly episodes. You can check them at episode 9. And we can check out some of it for the chats. You can see what Law has to offer, and you see the packages, and you got a bunch of stuff here. Dave Jamieson is in action against JAS. Mickey Knuckles, who we spoke about, the mystery opponent, the Dave Jamieson injury footage. I mean, for your heart pressure and blood level, I'm not going to put it up, but you can see some of the footage here. There's Godric Sandwell, and you can check out what Law has to offer. Yep, there you go. And it's an exciting company, really. It's an exciting company that has a lot to offer, really. It's we've talked about it here. I'm excited for the future to talk about Law, honestly. I'm looking forward to it.
We definitely love to hear that. Before I go on, yeah, our episodes, FUTV, they drop live on YouTube every Saturday at 11.
Okay. So we'll check.
But yeah, this one was so hard to watch.
That's why I don't want to put the whole episode up for you because I know how, it'll certainly, almost dampen the mood a bit, but it tells us where we're at going into April 2nd. But yeah, tough break for What's that?
I was like, look at Larry's beard.
Well, you know what? That's why, I don't want to look like ZZ Top, even though I shouldn't talk. But, I do keep the, at least the chin, what it is. But it works for him. What can I say? It works for him. But you can check out some of the content here. And this is where you can do that here on the Law YouTube page here. So you can check some of that out here. But so Pav is got still, I'm sure, plenty to do here on the 2nd. And we're going to find out more about it.
Yeah, he's part of the council that runs LAW, so we've all been trying to figure out what to do moving forward. So we don't want anybody to get hurt like that. But this is just really deepened the animosity between him and McMoney. McMoney is more traditional.
Yep.
And Pav is more alternative. No pun intended. So when stuff like this happens, it does kind of prove McMoney's point. And I know Pav's going to be really upset about that, on top of seeing somebody get hurt like that.
It's a clash between old school and new school. There's a wrestler that comes on here, James Taylor, and he always talks about old heads, and that's what it sounds to me like. It's a clash between old school and new school, and young and old, and traditionalist versus today. And there is Day, and a man that I've interviewed, and there he is.
Threatening to beat up Jazz the McKeesport way.
Yeah, well, he ain't in McKeesport. He's in Parkersburg. McKeesport does a different show in a different time, but this is Parkersburg. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's true.
But exciting here because you guys do weekly shows, so that's Saturday mornings, 11 o'clock. We can catch Saturday evening at 11 p.m. Well, I wouldn't expect you guys to be a morning show. Anyway, you're a legit alternative wrestling. I mean, it's a throwback to my days watching the ECW shows either at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. But I'm not going to show the whole episode because I have some different things to talk about here. But you can catch it here. You can also catch some of the other footage here. Yeah, I mean, you can do that here and do that through Law. You got a couple of extra subs since we put the link up, which is great. So you can see here some of the videos. There's Godric Sandwell. You can check out here some of your other favorites here in the world, and you can see slamming Sammy. I have to talk about slamming Sammy a bit because slamming Sammy came up on my show, as I stated earlier a few days ago, with Raina Black. She'll be wrestling Raina Black in speaking of Pennsylvania, in McKeesport there, but in a different company there, Enterprise Pro Wrestling. And I was wondering, just slamming Sammy, another young and up and coming talent. Raina spoke about her a bit. Slamming Sammy's coming up the ladder, certainly wants to engage herself a little bit in this style that you have to offer here in Law. And Raina also is kind of on that wavelength in Pro Wrestling Double X. Her husband is Esther Eric X Black. I'm sure you've heard the name. But talk about slamming Sammy here, because I'm getting to know her a little bit here of late. Talk to me about what she brings to the table in this company.
Well, I actually never knew who she was until we brought her in. Well,
Yeah,
Pav brought her in.
She's a new talent. Very new.
Yeah. Pav had his battle royal on our first episode, like our first show, and she was in there amongst 20 big guys, and she held her own. She just went in there fighting everybody, and then she actually won by eliminating Brohemoth, who is about, I don't know, 5 or 6 times bigger than she
Which
is.
is basically the Maven Undertaker moment here of Law.
That's exactly how it happened. She pulled the rope down, and Bro's big self went flying over, and we have a winner.
Well, yeah, well, Sammy won, and quite a moment. But yeah, she's a new talent. She's been around only for a short time, but she's made her way through Law.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, the next show she's in the title tournament, and then she gets choked out by La El Shaddai. And it was like, no, I'm so sorry. That was Pepper Pride. Yeah. Sammy faced Pepper Pride.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I got confused there.
Listen, there's a lot of names, and at the end of the day, it still does revolve around La El Shaddai, because Pepper Pride and La El Shaddai, we spoke about that. So, in a way, but this was a previous show.
There's that match I was talking about, and there's Pepper.
Yeah, Pepper, who I know from Mr. Rhino and that company, and my buddy James Fury. And let me say, somebody else wants to say hello to you, and that is Mr. Patrick Truby. What's good? What is good right now?
That is Kid Cupid. Thank you, Cupid.
So Kid Cupid is also in the fan vote. So let's talk about Kid Cupid here. Kid Cupid is also in our fan vote to see who gets put together for the tag team tournament. That's on April 2nd. And what about Kid Cupid here for our audience?
Kid Cupid is a Pittsburgh legend. I don't know how many years he's been in the business, but it's over 10. Okay. Old school wrestler, so kind. He loves horror movies. So every time we're at a show,
wrestlers like horror movies for whatever. I've noticed that I'm doing this 6 years, and I've been interviewing wrestlers for almost 5, and like 1 out of every 7 wrestlers that comes on my platform likes horror movies. Interesting.
That's me. I love them. They're my absolute favorite. They're my favorite types of movies, hands down.
But Kid Cupid has definitely been around the game, and he brings a lot to the table in Law.
Lots of knowledge. Not to sound like I'm too plugging everything, but that is the cool thing about our locker room, is that we have the older guys like Kid Cupid giving their wisdom to the younger guys like Dave Jameson.
Yep.
So it's a really cool mix, and to learn from people like that is just really cool and invaluable.
And he would like to say 24 on and off. Just 24 on and off.
Okay, so he's been in 24 years on and off.
24 on and off. What's that like, being a part of this locker room and getting a chance to mingle with some of these veterans and some of these younger talents? What's that like for you as an interviewer, interviewing these different wrestlers and such?
Terrifying.
Don't be terrified. Just they're really like everybody else. Listen, I come from the world of politics. I knocked on 15,000 doors in 1 calendar year. You just deal with people, and you treat them the way you want to treat them, and don't be terrified. I'm telling you, don't be terrified.
No, it's always terrifying because I'm such a big fan. Like, I'm a fan first,
Yeah.
and to see these people like right there, and to even be like allowed in a locker room is unreal to me.
Yeah, they wouldn't
So
want me in a locker room. Although I should share a story. I covered basketball and I was in a college basketball locker room, which was pretty cool. And you talked about the intro, and the coach of the team was like, "Wow, he called me the hype man of basketball." This was before COVID. He's like, "You're the hype man of basketball," and here we are. But yeah, being in a locker room is cool. I mean, that's got to be a fun experience.
I just, I have so much respect for wrestling. I feel like I don't belong there because I'm not a trained wrestler.
Hmm.
So to even like go through there, to go to the back where we do the interviews and everything is just, it's an honor to even be a part of the business, let alone something like LAW, where we
Yep.
have a roster from that's comprised of like everywhere. We have people from so many different companies all around the world. Like, it's crazy what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I mentioned POR with Nikki and IWR, Rhino's company, and certainly guys like Day and Godric who've been in different circuits. La El Shaddai is a name that's very well known. The Soul Taker, I mean, everybody knows him. I mean, it's a really deep roster. It's a really deep roster that you guys have. I mean, it's very deep.
Yeah, we're definitely spoiled in that regard. Did not think it would happen, especially as fast as it did, but the word caught on. So,
Well, the word's going to certainly catch on further, and you are very knowledgeable. In fact, you are so knowledgeable that I actually have something for you. And I know that you haven't been on here before, but I do things a little differently, than all the other Johnny Come Latelys. And I have something for you I'd like to present to you, and I hope that you'll allow me to share my screen. Well, you really don't have much of a choice. You'll have to just more or less go along with it. But I think you'll like it because on this date here, March 17th, it is Courtney Wood Day. Happy Courtney Wood Day on all Sportswire radio platforms. Yes, I'll give you the physical copy when we're off the air, but I wanted to give you a day because, well, it's not quite St. Patrick's Day with you. It's Courtney Wood's Day, but certainly we'll take some of the luck of the Irish. Hopefully, Dave Jameson has some of that luck of the Irish here on April 2nd, then Godric Sandwell as well. But on all my platforms, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you name them all, via the listen live button on sportswireradio.org. It is your day. Congratulations.
that is so cool.
I got my John Hancock, which is my real signature, my date, my logo. Yeah, I actually sign all of them. I've done like a couple of 100 of them by now at this point. So I sign them all and I do my John Hancock. Actually, that's why we were a few minutes late because I sign every single one of these. Yeah, I sign them.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so you get to have the copy of that. We'll definitely take that off the screen. We're going to plug some law for a little while longer. But what are some other things that is exciting for our audience to know about here coming up in April 2nd? We talked about La Shall Die. We talked about Dave Jameson and why he's going to be there. And you gave us the reasons. You talked about Pav Novak. You talked about certainly Godric Sandwell. You've got Kid Cupid here. I mean, there's a long list of people. Pepper Pride, we mentioned. Mickey Knuckles. I'll never forget about Mickey Knuckles. But are there some other things? We talked about the team fan vote, but are there other things that you want to talk about April 2nd that the audience here should know a bit about?
Well, the only thing we can think about would be what's going to happen with Brohemoth. He has pissed off a lot of people. We trying to get it out of Dave because we know him and care about him behind the scenes. If he's going to go directly after Tim, who orchestrated it, or Bro that actually did it. But we know that Dave's friend Tafua is ready to fight
Yep.
Bro, so that
Yep.
might be. There's talks of people outside of LAW that want to come in and take out Bro, leaving Dave for Tim.
That's risky though for wrestlers outside of a company. That's almost kind of taboo in a sense because, and again, I'm not a wrestler. You're there though. You know more than me, but it's almost taboo for wrestlers to get involved in business that they have really no beef or no anything with. It's very taboo. What's your thoughts on that?
As a fan, I think it's interesting. As somebody that's behind the scenes, it's very terrifying because you never know who's going to show up.
Yeah, yeah,
When,
yeah.
when you do have a situation that's as real as this is, who knows? Ampo, the Destroyer's name's been thrown out there, trying to get retribution for Day. We have enough with our own, trying to contain our own locker room. So to have people that weren't even like officially invited to come in, and it could be anybody, is crazy.
I mean, I personally, listen, my platform is built on All Wrestling Matters, so I like that idea of just anybody can come in at any time. But considering the wrestler and the circumstance, it's rather interesting. I'll say that. But I hope these wrestlers know what they're getting into if they have to deal with Mr. Hemoth, Mr. Brohemoth.
Bro,
he's a bro.
He is. He is a big guy, undefeated in his broken challenges. I'm trying to figure out my feelings about that, because it was him that did
professional still. Listen, you have to keep it professional. I know you know Day for a long time, but you're gonna have to, don't get too emotional. I could see it in your eyes.
It's hard not to. Like, it's sad to see, and I know I've known Bro for years too, and like I can't hate on him for trying to get money. Tim offered him a lot of money to do that, but at what point is it?
Name of the game. Everybody's looking out for themselves. It's a dog eat dog world. My uncle always said it's a dog eat dog world, and wrestling is the example of that. Don't you think?
Unfortunately, yeah, it is. When you have people like Tim Titan, who is just ready to throw money out to beat people up because he can't do it himself.
That was what the $1 Million Man did all those years ago. They'd have the $1 Million Challenge. Then when the kid famously thought he was going to win, he kicked the soccer ball out of his hands. I mean, we've seen this before. Challenges and money, and it certainly, money's the root of all evil. What can I say?
Yeah, well, that's practically what Tim did with Day and his birthday cake. Tim is just a little insecure man. He's upset that he only has one tooth left, and is just taking it. Like, I mean, you've seen Day.
Yeah. I've seen him here. Yeah, I know Dave very well.
He has everything going for him.
Dave's and then you have my dad a bunch of times. He's watched my even when I'm not talking wrestling. Dave's been here. Dave's been here a lot actually in my chat. So I know Dave very well. He and I, like I said, we speak from time to time. He's definitely a kid that he really loves this sport. He has a passion for it. His family has been involved in it, and he wants to go places, no question.
And he definitely will. But then, like I was gonna say, you have a guy like Tim who can't wrestle anymore, or at least that's my understanding. He's jealous.
I mean, we know he's not looking to pass the torch. You might want to say.
There's a reason why. I'm just gonna sum it up like this. There's a reason why Tim was on the outside with a camera and Day was in the ring competing. Like, that's really all that needs to be said about this situation.
Yeah, well, let me get to a few more comments. Also, congratulations to you on the certificate. There you go. McMoney the second and Wyatt Black. Those are the two things he's keeping it on. That's a good one. And anybody from this company is welcome to come on Sportswire anytime. Anybody? I mean, I know Godric's here in 2 weeks, and Dave's been here.
Yeah. You're gonna regret that if Wyatt Black decides to be a part of it.
I don't regret nothing, because at this point I've had Rhino, Savio Vega, I have had Doug Pinnick of King's X, and I have Randy Jackson of Zebra, and I speak to Vinny Appice. So at this point, I've had a good life. I mean, I said it last night on Sportswire Radio. I said, listen, somebody had problems with something, I was like, well, it was a good run. It was nice to everybody. It was last week on the show. One of the wrestlers' YouTube channel got, I don't know, thrown off or whatever. And I was like, well, if they're going to cancel us, I've already done what I needed to do. So I don't regret anything at this point. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I heard you talk about Pittsburgh. I'm from Brooklyn. So I don't regret anything at this point. Every day for me is a victory at this point. So for me, we'll certainly talk to anybody that would like to be here. I'm all Wrestling Matters. Godric knows the drill. You know what they say about faith and money. Yeah, well, that's a good point. And happy St. Patty's Day. Yeah, it's happy St. Patty's Day. Hope you enjoyed whatever you did here. I did want to ask you, Pepper Pride was second in Kings and Queens magazine, the women's, and actually she was ranked higher than La El Shaddai. That's a big thing. I mean, that's, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, Pepper is definitely going places. It's so cool to see that people are catching on. I just did a biography on her, and I didn't realize that she had been in the business so long, like
Yeah.
so little
Yeah.
actually. And to see her just be like, I'm gonna go in here, make my name, and hit people with chairs and just kick the shit out of people is so cool.
Yeah, she's definitely one of those people that goes out and does those things that obviously we'll have to find out more about. I've spoken to Pepper a few times actually, and she's definitely focused on her craft. She's focused on doing a bunch of different things, and obviously, I know we've talked a lot tonight about Dave Jameson. The council spoke about it. Mr. McMoney has spoke about it. You spoke about the MRI. Obviously, he had a sustained injury. You spoke about, which was obviously very very, very serious. And I'm sure that we'll talk more about that. And where are some of your writings? I know you're on Facebook. Are you on other places where we could find some of those writings? I was curious for the audience. Are you on anything else out there?
So I do like the match results for other companies like Express Wrestling
Yes, I know
and
Express. Yeah, I know Express.
yeah, West Virginia Wrestling Entertainment.
You do WD, is it WWWA?
WDWF. Yeah.
Oh, then yeah, a couple of recent guests that came onto my platform, WDWA. Anton Nathan. Speaking of people that are interested, you must know Mr. Anton Nathan.
Okay. Yeah.
WDWA. Yeah, he's one of their champions. But I didn't know you do WW. So you on those websites or Facebook pages is where your match write ups are.
Hmm.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You get an opportunity to write some of those things. So that's where we can see a lot of the write ups on those, whether it's Law, whether it's Express Wrestling, WDWA, all that stuff is on their pages. Those are your write ups. What a small world. So that means I've known you without even connecting with you. And the funny thing was, I have your YouTube link up. I was showing some of your match content when Godric was here that you filmed, and I didn't even know you. I knew you only like in the last week and a half. And there's your YouTube page. What a small world. I should probably have given you like royalties for sharing some of these videos these past few months. It was you. I think I shared you. You had the Street Stompers. You had Godric. Day was on there. So you had a bunch of different people that, Lestat's another name here, but there you go. But James Taylor is here. Speaking of people that wanted to say hello, so thank you, James, for tuning in. But there you go on that. Is there anything else that you'd like to share or talk about with Law before I get to a few other things with you? Anything else that you'd like to share or talk about for the audience?
We saw the debut of Layla James.
Yes, big
She
thing on Facebook. Yeah.
is incredible. She got a lot of people talking, both on the pre-show and just on social media in general. And she is the sweetest thing. She is so nice. I'm so happy to have her, like, get to know her. No, I wish I had more to say about the second show,
We'll have
but
more about it probably when Godric is here. He'll probably have a lot to say on that, I would imagine.
yeah, he, I believe, is supposed to take on La El Shaddai,
Yeah.
but we're not sure. We're not sure if Tommy Horror's going to allow it.
Card
But
subject to change.
well, it's whatever Tommy allows with that situation. But we have the tournament with the brackets are not set up yet. Fans are still voting.
Go to the
So we
Facebook
did
page
not
for J
put the card
Alternative
together.
Wrestling and I'll share it when we're off the air so people can go out there and vote and take a look at that. I did want to ask you, I know you've been doing this for a while and you do a lot of great things, but do you have any goals? I always ask wrestlers or people that are in anything, do you have goals in doing this? Is there something that you want to work toward or achieve?
Beyond the obvious of getting my name out there as much as I can, I would like to write for PWI. I think that would be pretty cool.
I think you should, and I was a big fan of the PWI growth. This comes up here quite a bit on my platform. I was actually one of the few people that asked Rhino a question that he's never been asked before. He was in the top 10 of the PWI 500 in 2001. And he was like, you knew that? And I was like, yeah, as a kid, I grew up in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, and I would go and I would go to the newsstand. There was a newsstand about 2 blocks from my house, and I would buy the Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500. I would buy it, and I would read it meticulously. I would read it for all the house show results. I would read it for all the different companies. Guy Alpha Zoe, who wrestled Alex Shelley before he went to WWE and just was at Ring of Honor this past week. He was in the PWI 500 back-to-back years. We spoke about that. Vito Fratelli, who's wrestled a bunch of different guys you've seen, like Alexander Hammerstone and TJ Perkins. And we spoke a lot about that. I think the Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine, to write for that, you got the talent for it. I think you should. I mean, I think you should. Why not? And I'd read it because I used to read that magazine growing up. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Well, then you should follow the social media because I try and write as much articles as I can about what's happening in LAW. Either biographies or like summaries of feuds, like how we got here, match previews or recaps. I try and cover all of that stuff. So if you're that kind of fan, then yeah, you'd probably like it.
Well, I do have a few comments that will certainly get under your skin, but I'm going to show them here because, well, that's kind of what I do here. But you got a tame audience here tonight. Usually, I get like 3 to 4 times the number of comments here. But what's wrong with your face? And I think you know who it is. I think he's just having some fun with you. I don't think he necessarily truly means that, but as you can see who it is. But obviously, he's not asking you out on a date anytime soon. Let's put it that way.
Thankfully.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I'm good with that.
That's good with that. But yeah, anything else you want to? You don't want to say anything on those comments now. We shouldn't let you say, unless you want to. I don't know.
That's like the second time I've been insulted this week.
Yeah.
Tim Titan implied some not very nice things about me and my character. Yeah. And now we have this nobody saying stuff. Okay.
They're trying to get under your skin. It's where you have to, be careful there. As I said about 20 minutes ago, personal and professional. I mean, you have to be careful there. You have to, like I said, walking that line.
That it's very hard for me. Like, if you watch the videos on my YouTube, like, I just yell the whole show.
I did. We've watched Godric. We've played your matches a few times. Godric's been here, about 6 or 7 times, and
I believe it. He's so funny and interesting to talk to.
He is. That's why I bring him on every month. The people that come on here, and I'm like, hello. But no, Godric's always got something to say. And he just was wrestling in Tennessee. He did actually 2 stints in Tennessee this year, 2 big stints. He had to probably do more. And, he'll be very active. I have no doubt.
And he definitely deserves it. He's going to be talking about it, but he's going to be facing Jace Carr for the Three Rivers Championship.
Yeah, we spoke about that situation there. He had the title, lost it, and then, different things happened. Yeah. Express Wrestling, and that's Jace Carr has been in his thorn for about 5 months now, about 4 or 5 months now. So
he's a coward.
Yeah, well,
he is a coward.
He's trying to take things over in Express Wrestling, and Godric obviously disagrees, and I'm sure it's going to come to a head, and I'm going to talk about it with Godric in 2 weeks. He'll be on your chair on April Fool's Day. April Fool's Day, he'll be on your chair.
That's going to be a good interview. He is.
Oh, yeah, he was here. Godric was actually here. The reason you're actually here is I've been doing a thing called The Tonight Show with Sportswire Radio. No, I'm not trying out for Jimmy Fallon's chair, but we do a thing where I'll give like anybody randomly, you want 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And Godric was one of those people that just all of a sudden said, yeah, I want to show up. And we spoke a lot about that. And that's where Jace Carr came up, and we had a clip about law, legit alternative wrestling. And that's how I'm speaking to you. So that's kind of how things go. But no, she doesn't know Captain Law. No, don't even bring that up now. You have listen, this is legit alternative wrestling. See what I mean about these guys? They want to, crack jokes, but it's not funny. It's, obviously he's not Ed McMahon or Johnny Carson. He should go back to hosting trivia for Jeopardy. He does Jeopardy trivia where he is. That's where he should be going, because obviously it's legit alternative wrestling. I don't really know anything about a Captain Law, and I don't want to bore you about people. And The legit alternative wrestling. Thank you, Kyle, for answering Zilla's question. Legit alternative wrestling. And in fact, since we have some people here, some new people here, I'm going to put the YouTube link up so you can go and hit the sub button for legit alternative wrestling. And you can give a sub to this beautiful young lady here and check her out, her YouTube videos. All her matches are up there. She puts up a lot of content. She's got all stuff from a lot of different places we've covered here. And we probably owe her some copyright credit for Godric Samuel and Dave Jameson, the Street Stompers work. But this is legit alternative wrestling. This is where you can watch their shows, FUTV. That takes place every Saturday night, 11 o'clock Eastern time. You can also check their premium live shows. You can also check some of the top wrestlers in the company. Godric Samuel is a regular here, La El Shaddai, Pepper Pride, Slam and Sammy, who was talked about on Tuesday's show with Reina Black. It's a long list of people. Robert Ketchum, Kid Cupid. I mean, we can keep going. Yes, Wyatt Black even. So hit the sub button for legit alternative wrestling so you can stay too legit. And definitely also follow Courtney on YouTube because she's got 179 different videos and most of them are wrestling matches. So check out her YouTube page. There are a lot of stuff again. If you really like wrestling, and I know this platform, we're about all wrestling matters, do me a favor, go out there and give her a sub. I want to get her to 100 subs, so when she comes back next month, she'll have more subs and more people will be watching her content. So check it out there. You can see a lot of stuff on her page from, again, Michael McMoney. You can see a lot of different wrestlers from Express Wrestling that we've had on here. There's Godric Sandwell. You can also check out the Street Stompers, as I mentioned. We know them very well here. And Dax Preacher. You got just Jackson Hawk. I know him very well. Yep.
Oh, you know Jackson Hawk.
I have 2,000 plus friends on Facebook. Yeah, these names come up from time to time. I can't say I've watched every match they've had. You've probably watched every match they've had, but different people come into the chat, or different people get talked about. Lestat's definitely been a name that's been mentioned. Obviously, PWX and now Express Wrestling that's come up, and I'm sure James Ellsworth, definitely know him from Enterprise Pro Wrestling. And I mean, you got a long list of people that I've talked about on this platform. There you go. So a lot of content. And Sean Phoenix, we mentioned Sean Phoenix, unfortunately, in a certain case. And you've done some interviews there. And there you go. There you look at you there. You're doing it. You should take over for me on Sportswire. A lot better looking. You speak better than me. They don't have to deal with the Brooklyn accent anymore and the mutton chops. And you do a good job. And what was it like? There you go. You remember this?
I do. This was for VWF, Valley Wrestling Federation. That was one of the first companies crazy enough to let me do interviews. I love my sparkly little note cards.
Note cards are good. That reminds me of being in college when I was in speech and communications. My Professor Hill would always make us buy index cards and take them up with us in speech. So there you go. But you poise wise is good.
Yeah, I like to be prepared and have a lot of questions for them and see if there's anything that they would want to talk about to make sure I have it. And I don't want to do gotcha interviews and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't like gotcha interviews. I don't ask people what they think of SmackDown. I don't ask people about what they had for breakfast. I keep it to the point. Yeah, that's smart advice.
Yeah, so that's what I was doing with the note cards. This was very early on in, I want to say career, but
you could say career. You're in prime time. You're the brightest lights, the biggest stage. Yeah, you could say it's a career. Come on.
Whatever you would call what I do, this is very early on. That's so cool.
But there he is, the man himself, Mr. Brohemoth.
Back then, man, totally just getting started, fired up, and now he's hurting people for money.
Well, times change. Tough economy, inflation, high cost of living,
What's so funny is you picked on this one, the one right before it with Christian Black. He actually kicks me out of the interview.
Oh boy, you're just giving me ammo to play. I mean,
it was funny.
Well, I'm gonna have to go put.
Christian Noir, sorry.
Well, I'm gonna have to go and put it up here before we sign off because that's gonna get somebody interested there. Let me see. Where did I see that? Yeah, I did see it.
Oh, those are clips from the original LAW, and then there's my other son Justin playing guitar.
Oh, Subdivisions, boy, Steel Panther, yes, Subdivisions, and not to be confused with the Rush song, Subdivisions, boy. There's Kristen Black, there's Pav Novak.
Yeah.
Where am I finding the video? There we go. Okay, yeah, there we go. This the one right here. Yep, fourth wall down. Yeah, well, yeah. Well,
see the name I was doing there.
Yep.
I had my wrap up show that was from the front row, so I really played on the fan thing.
Well, I could see that. Yeah, you definitely did, and now people are watching this on Sportzwire Live. There you go.
The Metal Assassin. Look at him. He had mutton chops for like 2 years.
He almost looks like I'm gonna say the reference. I don't know if you're gonna get it, but he almost looks like a cross between Nuno Betancourt and Gary Sharon of Extreme. Let's just say get the funk out here. You might be getting the funk out here when it comes to this interview shortly.
Yeah. What was funny is right before this interview, he shows up to the building in shorts and he has a big Don Vito tattoo on his calf from Viva La Bam and Jackass.
Yep.
Nothing prepares you for somebody with a Don Vito tattoo.
Bam Margera's Pennsylvania, right? Wasn't that where all that stuff came out of? Is Pennsylvania, if I recall correctly.
Right. And that's where Pav gets his name, Pav Novak.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
But,
yeah,
he doesn't look too happy with you right now. He doesn't look too happy.
He had just gotten turned on by his friend David Marbell during this interview.
Maybe you picked the wrong time.
I had to talk about it.
You picked the wrong time to interview him.
Or was it the best? Because we needed to know what was going on.
Well, that could be so. Well, you could look at it that way, but he doesn't look too happy is all I could say. You know, I don't know.
You could have ran out of guy liner that day. I don't know.
But I mean, he's definitely upset. I mean, I should almost turn the volume up. We'll turn the volume up here for a minute. You ain't got nowhere to go for a moment, but well, I think
you were going to have to defend by yourself.
It's not a good feeling. It's not. Definitely going down there with Switchblade definitely feels more comfortable to me, obviously. But I'm not gonna lie, I was a little scared. Isn't really the word I'm looking for. I went in there knowing I was up for one of the biggest challenges in my career, and I embrace challenge. I look at it right in the face and I laugh. And if I go down fighting.
Awesome. So I just want to end with, what is next for the Metal Assassin?
As far as tonight goes, I'm a lone wolf. Completely alone. Everybody else in the higher class, they're not here. They left me here by myself, which is fine. I'm going to go out there and I'm looking for a fight. I'm mad that we don't have tag team gold around our waist. Who wouldn't be? Okay, given my situation. I'm looking for a fight. I don't have anybody by my side. You know what? I'm okay with that.
Well, Slice, thank you so much for your time. Thank you all for watching. That was Fourth Wall Down.
Fourth wall down there. It was good. It was good. It was good. They don't want me doing interviews like that. You can do them. I'll just sit here and say funny jokes. But yeah, you definitely got that down. You got the cards there, the cereal. It was like a press conference. It's a press conference with Courtney almost.
I appreciate that.
You could definitely do some of the stuff that you see those interviews with the likes of Tracy Wolfson doing the NFL. You could see Jackie Redmond now on Raw, and all those Jenny Dell on college football. That's where you're going to be next for wrestling. So you do a good job with that. And yeah, check out some of these videos. She'll be back here next month. We'll bring her on here after April 2nd, and we'll talk about what went down here in legit alternative wrestling. And Kyle Shelby, yep, definitely. We'll certainly see. I'm sure they'll figure it out. We'll connect you and see. Yep, thank you for the business. I'll definitely connect you, see what happens. And this guy here again, these guys, Courtney Wood, and I don't know what that reference meant, but I will say one more time here before we go and get to the closing thoughts here. You want to follow Legit Alternative Wrestling. Instagram is the way to go. Also Facebook, it's the same thing. Legit Alternative Wrestling on Facebook. On Instagram, it's Legit Alternative. Very simple, to the point. Go out there and give the gang a follow. Their next show is coming up, Guilty by Association, April 2nd, and it's just about 2 weeks away from now. So check that all out. Speaking of people that you would be great for, there's this guy, my buddy Darkron, who just celebrated a birthday. By the way, also had bad luck with birthdays like Dave Jameson, but he's also doing a show in his own right. It's the Dark Chronicles he's the host of, and he talks with wrestlers and different people for like 20 minutes and shares something, and they share a match or two. So I'm sure that I'll connect you to him, and maybe he'll interview you next, because obviously people want me out of this business. So you're seeing new shows, new podcasters, new people. So it's time to pass the baton off. To quote Jack Nicholson's character, Jack Napier, aka the Joker in Batman, it's time to go. It's time to go here. We're going to go with a smile, but definitely I'll go with the smile by giving it to this man here. But he'll take over. He'll interview you next, and you'll enjoy it much more, because he's a wrestler and he'll have better questions than the ones that I had. But young lady, I'm going to pass the baton to you. I'm going to give you some closing thoughts. I hope that you'd like to come back next month. Until then, I pass the floor to you. Anything else you'd like to plug, share, or say, take it away.
No, this was awesome. He might be a wrestler or everything, but I don't know how many Iron Maiden references he's going to drop.
Well, I could definitely, could go into No Prayer for the Dying. I could certainly go into Somewhere in Time, and I guess I might go into Virtual X1 and the Dance of Death, which really wasn't one of my favorite albums, but I could definitely do at least 20 more, and Killers, and rest in peace, Paul Diano. But we can keep going. I'm no Wrathchild here, but hallowed be thy name. You can keep going.
Yeah, I have a deep love of heavy metal.
Well, like I said, I was in if you ever read blabbermouth.net,
yeah,
I was featured in blabbermouth.net about 2 weeks ago.
That's awesome.
Yep, I was featured in it with King's X Doug Pinnick. We talked about, they have an album they're working on, and they opened up for Tool, and we spoke about that. He spoke about Pantera, and he actually saw the band coming up. They shared, they're from Texas, and we spoke about that in the interview. And like I said, you'll probably see me on Blabbermouth without giving it away next week. Probably I'll be back in Blabbermouth next week. So yeah, you'll see me probably. Yeah, I'll be back in Blabbermouth next week. I'm a Blabbermouth period, But he said, congrats to you. He's more of a Megadeth fan. Megadeth and Trivium. Trivium. I don't really care for Trivium, but if you like it, I like it then. But Megadeth is good. I do like Megadeth.
Oh yeah, Megadeth is awesome.
Although I don't know why they made Super Collider and Risk.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they don't know still. Well, only one person would know, Dave Mustaine. He's the only one left in the band, but that's okay. But
Did you know that's Daffy Duck's favorite musician, like favorite rock star, is Dave Mustaine.
Yeah, because they were on Cartoon Network years ago.
Yeah, Daffy Duck had a spin-off show, Duck Rogers,
yeah,
and they had this big asteroid, and his only plan was to plug an amp into it and blow it up with the power of Megadeth.
Who was your favorite? All right, I'm going to keep you on here for a minute or two. You ain't going anywhere. Who are some of your favorite metal bands? Let me see if I know or have a thought or two on them. Who are they?
Well, obviously Megadeth, Metallica, the big ones. Pantera.
We obviously mentioned with Doug Pinnick. Yep, I know Pantera very well.
I love 80s hair metal.
I saw Steel Panther on there. I saw that.
That's Lexi Fox.
You're in the right place. I live about maybe 6 blocks away from a guy, Vito Bratta, played for the band White Lion. Supposed to be the next.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's all like Steel Panther stuff.
Yeah. I know I don't know him, but I know him where he's like a total recluse. But I know him. He would say hello to me, and I've heard him play guitar once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like some of the 80s stuff. Yeah, 80s stuff was good. Skid Row, Skid Row, Warrant, yeah. Skid Row was good. I liked Slave to the Grind, Subhuman Race.
I'm just not a fan of Sebastian Bach. I
Well,
just can't do it.
He's well. That's why he's out of the band. I mean, he's out of the band. But Mr. Kron said he saw Steel Panther 3 times. So he'll interview you about Steel Panther rather than you doing wrestling commentating.
I could talk about Steel Panther for hours. They are my favorite band.
Mr. Doug Pinnick did on their YouTube channel. He was on there with Steel Panther. They were asking him about trivia about his band.
Lucky.
Well, Woodstock. That's it's why they did that. But I tell people all the time that, wow, you were in Blabbermouth. People, my mother's in a band, sings, and people ask me, they don't care about anything I've done and anything, but now I've been in Blabbermouth. Wow, you're in Blabbermouth. Yeah, I was in it. I was in it. It's actually, a million people read it a day, and I was in Blabbermouth. So
yeah,
I'm a Blabbermouth, though. What can I tell you? But Courtney's on Facebook. Give her a follow. She doesn't want to blab anymore about this. She'll do it next time. And he also did want to say, Mr. Kron, do you like In This Moment? Maria Brink?
Oh, I love In This Moment. Oh, so good.
I do like one In This Moment song. John Wick 4, I Die For You.
Okay.
The John Wick soundtrack, actually. But
In Between is an amazing album.
Yeah. No, they have a few good songs. A few good songs in there. No, they have some good stuff, but great stuff there. I could talk all day, but I think the cat wants to spend time with you. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's Courtney Wood Day on Sportswire Radio. Legit alternative wrestling coverage is coming your way very soon. They have a big show coming up here April 2nd in Parkersburg, West Virginia. It's called Guilty by Association. You'll see the champion, La El Shaddai. You'll see the likes of Mickey Knuckles. You'll see Dave Jameson. I'm not sure why. Godric Sandwell. You'll see a tag team tournament. There's a team fan vote on Facebook for that, plus Pepper Pride, Robert Ketchum, Kid Cupid, and a slew of other stars, including the McMoneys, McMoney Sr. and Jr. And this is Courtney Wood. She told us all of it and some. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Congratulations on all the success. I'll see you next month, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens here in Law on April 2nd.
Thank you.
All right, that was Courtney Wood. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all wrestling matters. If you're here on Sportswire Radio, like, subscribe, and share this video. Also, give Courtney a sub on YouTube. I see some people here coming in and out. Go do that. Go give Law a sub. Also, check him out on Facebook. Check him out on Instagram. And I'll be back here at 9 o'clock tomorrow with Jake Dvorak, who wants to have a no-roped barbed wire match. I'll also be here later this week with Randy Jackson of Zebra. Yes, Randy Jackson of Zebra. Look him up and tell me what you want when you hear the interview. But until then, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great night. And until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters. Thanks, everybody.